is the state of complete mental and social well-being, not just the absence of diseases and infirmity. Good health is something that we strive to achieve not only for ourselves, but our family, friends, and the community. So let's talk about some tips from the famous wellness expert. Hello, everyone. I'm Alka, and you're watching Welcome Wellness, presented by Trident Communications in association with World Humanitarian Foundation. And our guest for today is nutritionist and wellness expert, Dr. Varun Katyal. Hello, Varun. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine too. Thank you so much for giving us your time for this episode of Welcome Wellness.
It's my pleasure.
So, Varun, now that you're here, let's start already.
Yes, yes.
So, according to you, what are the pillars of health and wellness?
Okay, so according to me, there are four important pillars of health and wellness. The first is eating right. So having the right kind of diet is extremely important. And, when we talk about the right kind of diet, it is not just what you eat, but, eating the right food in the right quantity at the right time is definitely very important. So that's the first pillar of good health and wellness, according to me, which is eating right. The second pillar of health and wellness, according to me, is regular exercise. Exercise has many, many benefits, including a lot of health benefits, and definitely it is important to exercise regularly. The third pillar of health and wellness, according to me, is sleeping well. And it's not just the number of hours or the quantity of sleep which we have, but it is equally important to have good quality sleep. So, the right quantity of sleep as well as the right quality of sleep, both are important. The fourth pillar of health and wellness, according to me, is managing your stress effectively. So, we all go through stress in life, but it is very, very important to learn to manage stress effectively. There are different techniques which can be used, to manage your stress effectively, but managing one's stress effectively is extremely important. So these are the four pillars of health and wellness, according to me.
All right. So, it's a myth or a fact, I don't know, about diet that people believe that dieting is something that means starving yourself from your favorite food. What do you have to say about it?
I think there are a lot of myths about diet, and one of them is, what you just mentioned, that a lot of people think that being on a diet means being deprived of eating your favorite foods, but actually that is not at all the case. In fact, according to me, diet is about having a disciplined approach. It is about eating the right food in the right quantity at the right time. And at the same time, it doesn't mean that you do not eat what you like or you're not allowed to eat what you like. That's definitely a myth. In fact, I truly believe that it is important to also eat what you like at times, because a lot of times if we try to suppress our liking towards a particular food, and if we try to avoid a particular food completely, a lot of times we might end up doing what is called binge eating, which means that you may be disciplined for a couple of days, but after a while you kind of get fed up of it, and you kind of have such strong cravings that you give into your cravings and you eat whatever comes in your hand, and you eat a lot. So it's very important that one should apply a balanced approach when it comes to diet and nutrition, which means that you definitely follow a disciplined diet for most of the days, in the week. But one cheat meal or two cheat meals, that's what I call them. I call them the cheat meal. So one cheat meal or two cheat meals in a week are okay. And when you're eating these cheat meals or so-called meals where you are not being completely disciplined and you're eating what you like eating, you should eat guilt free, because our emotions and our thoughts also have a lot of effect on what we eat, the way it is digested and assimilated in our body. So if we eat something which we like, but if we eat it with guilt, it's definitely, kind of going to some way cause a harmful effect on our body. But if we are eating what we like eating, like I said, in a disciplined way, maybe just eating a cheat meal once or twice a week, but whenever we are eating that meal which we like eating, if we eat it with all the happiness, if we eat it guilt free, if we kind of use all our senses while eating, if we enjoy that meal, then definitely it is not going to most probably harm us. And that's very, very important to understand.
So, do you believe that the weight of a person has a lot to do with the well-being? Like, can we determine if a person is slim or fit or healthy just looking at the weight?
So, a lot of times people assess whether you are fit or slim by the number which is seen on the weighing scale. But actually, the weight on the weighing scale is not just the weight of body fat. So, this is very important to understand, because I know a lot of people stress a lot about their weight. And, a lot of times when they are on the weighing scale, they are under a lot of stress. In fact, a lot of research has shown that going on a weighing scale to check your weight is one of the biggest stresses which people experience, in the world. And this is definitely not worth it, because when we let's first understand what is weight. So when we stand on a weighing scale to check our weight, the weighing scale does not tell us just what is the amount of fat which is present in our body. The weight, or the number which we see on the weighing scale as weight, is grossly the total weight of the weight of our bones, muscles, water, and fat together. Okay, so you can have more weight on the weighing scale if you have any of these four as being heavier. So which means that any of these four can contribute to more weight, which means you can have more weight if you have stronger bones. You can have more weight if you have stronger and heavier muscles. You can also have more weight if you have water, and or if you have more water in the body, or if you have water retention. So you can also have more weight if you have more water in the body, or if you have water retention, and you can also have more weight if you have more body fat. But your weighing scale number of 70 kg or 75 kg or 60 kg will not tell you what is more, whether you have heavier bones, or whether you have heavier muscles, or whether you have more water, or whether you have more fat, right? So since this number does not tell you how much is the body fat percentage, definitely does not give you the picture of how slim or fit you are. And a lot of people stress themselves about it. A lot of people are very stressed because of their weight, and if they see that their weight is up by 500 grams one day, they get very stressed. So this is one thing which one must understand. Now a lot of people will then ask me, then how do we know whether we are fit or slim? Now a better indicator of telling you whether you are losing fat from the body, or whether you're gaining fat in the body, is your inch measurements. Okay, so which means that if you take an inch tape and measure around your waist, around your tummy, around the areas where you feel you have gained extra fat, and if you check these measurements say once every week, and if you see that every week when you check these measurements you see some inch loss happening on those areas, then that means that's an indicator of fat loss. So inch loss is the right indicator of fat loss, and not weight loss. This is very important. And since I know a lot of people stress about their weight, this is very important to understand. The other problem with weight is that weight fluctuates a lot. So if you check your weight in the morning, and if you check your weight in the evening, the same day, you may see a difference of 500 grams to 1.5 kgs, depending on different factors like, how much was your salt consumption the previous day, how much was your carbohydrate consumption the previous day, how much water did you drink, uh, other factors like constipation. All these things, kind of can make your weight fluctuate, right? So that's why, because your weight can fluctuate a lot even in a day, it definitely cannot be a reliable indicator to tell you whether you are in the right direction as far as fat loss goes. Okay, so this is also very important to understand that weight is not the most reliable criteria to tell you whether you are fit or slim. It is like, if you want to talk about the measurements, then of course inch loss is a much better indicator of fat loss than weight loss. So inch loss is the right indicator of fat loss and not weight loss. So this is very important, and that's why weight loss may not always be fat loss.
All right. So
And then,
there's
of course, besides this, so this is just one measurement criteria of knowing whether you are losing fat or not, because it does motivate you. It is said that your own results are a very great motivator when it comes to your journey of being on a diet and exercise program to lose weight. Your own results can motivate you a lot. So if you see a change in your results every week, you are definitely motivated, and motivation plays a very important role in your journey on a weight loss or a fat loss program. So you need to know what is the right indicator when it comes to measurements. But there are other indirect indicators that you are becoming slimmer or fitter. Your clothes, which were not fitting you well earlier, now start fitting you well, better and more comfortably. That's another indicator, of losing fat. Also, you feeling lighter, you feeling less bloated, you feeling more energetic, you feeling good about yourself. All these are also other indicators that you are in the right direction of losing extra fat. So this is very important. And just one thing more I would like to add here, because a lot of people, because they emphasize so much about weight, and a lot of people get so stressed about weight, they must understand that not all weight of the body is bad weight. So, for our understanding, the weight can be divided into good weight and bad weight. Now, what is good weight and what is bad weight? So, the bad weight of the body is the extra fat which we have in the body, right? And the good weight of the body is our bone weight and muscle weight, which is also called the lean body weight. And why do we call it the good weight? Because if we have stronger bones and muscles, our metabolism will become faster, and our chances of gaining fat will become lesser, and our chances of losing or burning fat would become more. Okay, so actually, one must understand that the aim of a good diet and exercise regime should be to help you lose the bad weight of the body, which is the extra fat. But at the same time, it should help you to gain the good weight of the body, which is your bone weight and muscle weight. So that is why, again, the weight will on the weighing scale will not give you the right picture. Because see, if you're following a good diet and exercise regime, and if you check your weight, and by following a good diet and exercise regime, if you see that, say for example, by following a good diet and exercise regime, you lost 4 kg of fat in a month, right? But at the same time, because you're exercising regularly, you will also gain muscle weight and bone weight. So for example, you gain 2 kg of muscle weight and bone weight by regular exercise. So what will happen is the net weight loss on the weighing scale will only show as 2 kg, because your muscle and bone weight also adds up to your total weight. So in reality, you have actually lost 4 kg of fat, but your weighing scale is only showing 2 kg, right? So that's also another reason that weight is not the right indicator in most of the cases to tell you whether you are in the right direction in terms of losing extra body fat or not.
all right. A lot of people also complain that they are really enthusiastic while they start a diet, but towards the end, they either lose the motivation or they get comfortable in giving up. And you can include me in that category. So, what do you do to avoid that?
So, there are a few things one should kind of consider before one starts a diet and exercise regime. The first thing is, before you get on to a diet and exercise regime, you should first ask yourself, what is your ultimate goal? So setting a goal is extremely important, because a lot of times when you kind of get demotivated, by looking at where you want to reach, by looking at your goal, you can get motivated. So first, it is very important to set a clear goal. Also, the goal which you set should be realistic. A lot of people say that, oh, in 1 month I want to lose 10 kgs, or I have a special occasion to attend in 1 month, so I want to lose maximum weight in this small period. So that's sometimes not realistic. So one needs to also set up goals which are realistic, right? So you need to define your goals. You need to know that those goals are realistic, and you need to define a timeline that, okay, every month or every 2 weeks, I should lose this much, you know. Again, the third thing is that a lot of people also give up is because initially, there is a lot of enthusiasm when you start a new diet or exercise regime, and you are very excited about it. But after some time, your enthusiasm goes away because you feel that it's the same routine you're following. There is not much change happening, and you are kind of now bored. So also you should try and change your pattern of eating, the kind of foods you're eating. Try to introduce interesting things like making some yummy new recipes, experimenting with some nice interesting new recipes, trying to change your exercise regime a little bit here and there, trying to change your different meals like lunch, dinner, or breakfast. So all this can also kind of decrease the boredom which can come, as you go along the journey. The fourth thing which you need to understand is that whatever diet and exercise regime you start with, you must ask yourself that before I start on this, will I be able to follow at least 65 to 70% of this regime for the next 6 months to 1 year of my life or not? Because a lot of people think that by doing something for a short duration, they will be able to achieve their results. And after that, it's okay. They can get back to their previous routine, but that doesn't work. Because if you want your results to be sustainable, then you need to kind of at least follow whatever regime you have been following for your diet or exercise for at least 65 to 70%. So before you get on to a diet and fitness regime, ask yourself, will I be able to follow this regime for at least 65 to 70% for the next 6 months to 1 year of my life? It should be, the regime which you're following should be practical. You should not follow something which is very difficult to follow, or which is very starving, or which requires you to do a lot of preparations, a lot of uh, you know uh, planning in terms of getting a lot of new ingredients from the market, because these kinds of things don't work in the long term. So your diet plan also has to be practical. It has to be for it to be sustainable, it has to be practical. And also it should be something which is easily doable. It should not be that you're spending a lot of your time in making food for yourself for every meal, rather than doing other things in your daily routine. So it needs to be practical. And the like I said, your results are one of the greatest motivator. So you need to track your results. It's very important to kind of make a Excel sheet, or whatever way you want to track your weekly results. You must put down your results in a tracking sheet and track them. Because if you see even half an inch loss on your waist every week, or half an inch loss on the tummy 1 week, it really motivates you to go ahead. So that's very important. Tracking your results is extremely important. And also, one last thing is that you should remember that being on a diet and fitness regime is like a small child learning to walk. It's not going to be easy. Like a small child, when he's trying to learn to walk, he might walk a few steps and then may fall down, but he doesn't give up. He again tries to get up and walk. So that's how it is. This journey of being on a diet and fitness regime is not going to be easy. You will fall at times, but all you need to do is to be consistent. You need to get up and try again. So if you are consistent in your approach towards a diet and exercise regime, you are definitely going to be successful. So this is also extremely important. So these are some of the things which can actually help you to stay on track and stay motivated when you are following a diet and fitness regime.
All right. So as you said that there's a good weight and there's a good fat and there's a bad fat. So people believe that if they cut down all the fat from their diet, so that would be something which sets them closer to their goal. Do you believe like that's something they should do?
No, so that's not correct, because a lot of people think that all fat is bad, and all fat needs to be kind of, removed from your diet if you want to become thin and if you want to lose body fat. That's totally wrong, So for us to understand, the fat which we consume in our diet can be divided into good fat and bad fat. Now, when we talk about good fat, let's first talk about good fat. Now, why is good fat important? Now, good fat is important to include in your diet, especially for weight loss, because it gives you satiety or the feeling of satisfaction. So, you don't get unnecessary cravings, you feel more full after having a meal. It also gives a good taste to your food, because if you don't add enough good fat in your food, it will not taste well, and food which is not tasty, you will not be able to eat it for a very long time. So it gives, fat gives good taste to the food, it gives good satiety to you, and it makes you feel fuller and more satisfied. So definitely good fat is important to include in your diet, especially if you're trying to lose weight. The second thing is that also good fat, when included in your diet in the right way, can help you to balance your blood sugar levels, which kind of prevents unnecessary sugar cravings, and it kind of helps you, when you're in your journey towards fat loss or weight loss. Also, good fat has a lot of other health benefits in our body. It helps to decrease the inflammation in our body. It gives us glowing skin. It also helps to make our hair better. It also is important for a lot of other important functions in our body. So definitely including good fat is extremely important in our diet. And it is also very important to include, good fat sources in our diet if we are trying to lose weight. So we should not shun away or cut all the fat from our diet, because actually it may slow down our weight loss. So like I said, good fat has a lot of important functions in our body. So it is very important to include good fat sources in our diet, and definitely you should not cut down on all fat in your diet. Now, another thing is the bad fat. When we talk about bad fat, of course, we need to cut down on all the bad fat in our diet. And when we talk about bad fat, one of the most common examples of bad fat is trans fat. And this trans fat can have a lot of harmful effects on our body. And one of the common harmful effects which trans fat can have on our body is basically clogging of our coronary blood vessels or heart blood vessels. So definitely we must try and avoid all the sources of bad fat in our diet. Okay, so that's very important. Now I'm going to give you a few examples of good fat in our diet. So when we talk about good fat, what are the different sources of good fat? So the first and foremost important source of good fat in our diet is nuts. So nuts like almonds and walnuts, these are definitely sources of good fat. The second is seeds. So seeds like chia seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, these are also good sources of good fat. The third is avocado. It is an excellent source of good fat. The fourth is desi ghee. Definitely including desi ghee in our diet can do wonders for our health and for our body. So definitely desi ghee is another good source of good fat. The other sources of good fat are extra virgin olive oil. Then also foods like fish are sources of good fat. And so these are some of the examples of good fat which one must include in one's diet.
All right. People also believe that, for faster results, they could simply skip meals. Is that something that you would advise?
Definitely not, because what happens is that if you try and skip meals, especially if you think that I'm not going to eat my breakfast or I'm not going to eat my lunch, so this will save a lot of calories. One must understand that there are a lot of disadvantages of skipping meals to lose weight. The first is that if you skip a particular meal, what happens is that you usually feel very hungry in the next meal. So you may either end up overeating at that particular meal, or you may eat wrong things, because when you're hungry, you don't use a lot of your intelligence that time, because you are so hungry that whatever comes in your hand, you eat. So that wisdom of eating healthy sometimes doesn't work that time. So that's one disadvantage of skipping meals. The second is when you skip your meal, your body kind of goes into a starvation mode. So the body is not sure when it's going to get its next meal. So it goes into a starvation mode where it tries to hold on to whatever body fat it has, because it thinks that it may not get the next meal on time. So it needs to have some source of energy, and since body fat is a source of energy, it kind of holds on to it, and so your fat burning will become very slow, and that would result in less fat being burned in the body. So that's another thing. And also, when you skip meals, what also happens is that you kind of also get into a state where you are kind of, your body's basic metabolism also slows down, because for our body's basic metabolism to work or function, it needs a minimum number of calories. But when you kind of cut down or skip a certain meal, you may not have enough calories for your body's metabolism to function appropriately. So it also over a period of time can help. So it also over a period of time can lead to slowing of your metabolism. So definitely skipping meals can slow your metabolism, in in the long term, and that's why also skipping meals is not good. So these are some of the reasons why skipping meals can actually not help you to lose weight faster. It can sometimes kind of slow down your process of weight loss and fat loss.
So is strict diet or fat diet something that people should follow?
So, when we talk about strict diets or fat diets, like, I truly believe that any diet which is not practical and any diet which kind of starves you will never be a sustainable diet. So that's very important to understand. Uh, the second thing is, I'm going to explain this in detail a little later, but a lot of fat diets actually ask you to usually eliminate or totally remove one particular food group from your diet. Like, for example, it could be a no carb diet, or it could be a very low carb diet, or it could be a high protein diet, or a low fat diet. So all these different kinds of diets which basically ask you to either reduce a particular food group to a very large extent, or to completely eliminate or remove a particular food group from your diet, are usually the fat diets. And these diets don't work because our body needs all the different food groups, for it to function appropriately and properly. So when you deprive your body of a particular food group, obviously the body is going to crave for it because it needs it. So you may be able to sustain this kind of a diet for a short period of time, but because your body will crave for these things, over a period of time you will give up and you will start eating those foods again, and then whatever results you have got from this particular diet will get reversed. And that's what happens in a lot of fat diets, that they work for some time, you get good results, but after some times you see that most of those results get reversed. And in fact, depriving your body of certain important nutrients or food groups can actually be harmful for your body in the long term. So they may cause a lot of these fat diets may actually cause a lot of side effects in the long term, if you follow these kinds of diets. So I'm totally against extremely strict diets. Extremely strict diets usually, again, may deprive your body of certain food groups or certain nutrients which are important for your body. So they can definitely have side effects. Also, they are not sustainable. And the same goes for fat diets as well. A lot of fat diets are not practical. They may deprive your body of a lot of important food groups or important nutrients, and definitely they can have side effects.
So how do you think one can, get results from a diet program and that should be sustainable?
So, like I said, first of all, before someone starts a diet program, one needs to set realistic, clear goals. One needs to know what they want to achieve. Also, since now I have already explained the difference between fat loss and weight loss, and fat loss and weight loss may not be the same thing always. You need to track the right parameters for your progress, because a lot of times, if you only go by weight, you may feel demotivated, because your weight can fluctuate on the weighing scale due to different factors which I already talked about. So again, using the right parameter to kind of monitor your progress is very important. Having realistic goals is very important. And one needs to also understand that this journey is going to be full of ups and downs. So you need to be prepared for ups, you need to be prepared for downs. The only key to being successful on this journey is to be consistent. So if you are consistent, if you are, committed, if you are dedicated, if you know that your journey is going to be full of ups and downs and you're prepared for it, then definitely you'll be successful. But you need to remember that you need to be consistent.
So, what do you think is the relationship between mindfulness and diet and being fit?
So, mindfulness is basically, in very simple terms, being aware of the present moment, you know, and being in the present moment. So, a lot of times, in today's fast paced world, we have so many distractions. One is so many technology, gadgets which we have around us, which distract us so much. Our phone, our laptops, our television screens, all these could be distractions in our daily life. And because we are surrounded by so many distractions, including so many of these gadgets which can be distracting, a lot of times we don't spend enough time with ourselves. And a lot of times we are not even aware of our surroundings and our own senses. So mindfulness is basically being aware of being in the present moment, you know. So when we talk about mindfulness in eating, it's very important to understand that a lot of times people, when they eat, they hardly focus on the act of eating, you know. So I'll tell you, one needs to understand that there is a lot of research which says that our brain takes around 20 minutes to register that we have eaten a meal. So if we finish a particular meal before 20 minutes, our brain will never register that we have eaten something. The second is, if we don't concentrate or focus on the act of eating, again, our brain will not register that we have eaten something, and we will perpetually be hungry all the time. A very common example of this is, a very common example of unmindful eating is, eating while watching a movie. So, a lot of us must have experienced this, that whenever we, start watching, we say we bought, or we got a big pack of popcorn, and we were like, we wanted to eat that popcorn while watching the movie. So as the movie started, we started eating the popcorn. We didn't want to share it with anyone. We just wanted to eat that big pack of popcorn by ourselves. And by that intermission of the movie, we realized that, that entire big pack of popcorn is over. And after that also, we are feeling hungry. So we are like, what should we eat now? A sandwich or a burger, or something else. So this is a very common example of unmindful eating, where you actually ate such a big pack of popcorn all by yourself, not even realizing that you have eaten it, and you are still hungry. Otherwise, in normal circumstances, if you try eating, you cannot eat such a big pack of popcorn all by yourself and not feel, and still feel hungry. So in normal circumstances, even if you are able to eat that big pack of popcorn all by yourselves, you will be full, and you will not want to eat any further. But because we have not focused on the act of eating, and our concentration and attention was on the movie, we did not realize that we have eaten something. So mindfulness basically is a process which helps you to be aware while you are eating. So for this, I would like to give 3 very, very easy tips for mindful eating. The first is that whenever you are eating, you should sit down peacefully at a place and eat. Never eat while standing or walking. That's the first tip. The second tip for mindful eating is, always try and do distraction free, gadget free eating, which means, especially when you're eating your main meals like your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you should keep away all the gadgets away from you. You should not be distracted by any of those gadgets. So don't check your email while eating, or don't watch a video while eating, or don't watch television while eating, or don't watch, any kind of video while you are eating. For those 25 to 30 minutes, especially when you're eating your main meals like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, devote all your concentration towards eating. So this is the second tip. So you must try and do gadget free, distraction free eating. And the third tip for mindful eating is that you must try and chew every bite of food at least 20 times. In class 7th or class 8th, all of us studied a chapter on digestion. And in that chapter, we all studied that for good digestion, the first step is to chew our food properly. And we were taught that for good digestion, we must try and chew every bite of food at least 32 times. But in today's fast paced world, a lot of us either don't even count how many times we chew every bite of food, or we eat so fast that we hardly chew our food. But one needs to understand that if we don't do this first basic step for good digestion, which is chewing our food properly, how would we expect our body to have proper digestion, not feel bloated, not have acidity, and not make us put on weight? So I understand that chewing every bite of food 32 times may be a challenge and it may not be practical. So I usually tell people that you should try and chew every bite of food at least 20 times. And if you do that, you will see that automatically your speed of eating will slow down. You will usually eat the right portion of food. You will usually not overeat. You will feel more satisfied after eating your food, and definitely your digestion will improve. Okay, so this is the third tip for mindful eating. So I'll again repeat, the first tip for mindful eating is whenever you're eating, always sit down peacefully at a place and eat. Never eat while standing or walking. The second tip for mindful eating is always do distraction free, gadget free eating. When you're eating, put your entire focus on the act of eating. Enjoy the taste of food, enjoy the aroma of food, enjoy the texture of food. And the third tip for mindful eating is that you should try and chew every bite of food at least 20 times.
So before we end this episode of Welcome Wellness, is there one last message that you'd like to give to our viewers?
So I truly believe that you are what you eat. So making the right food and dietary choices is extremely important, not only for your health and well being, but for you to also have the right kind of energy, to have the right kind of mindset, and also to have the right kind of wellness. So it is very important to eat right.
Thank you so much, Varun, for that message and all these useful tips for all our viewers.
So thank you so much once again for inviting me to this wonderful show. I would like to wish all the lovely viewers good health and well-being always.
And thank you so much, everyone, for joining with us today on our show and watching this episode of Welcome Wellness. So stay tuned for more such stories with experts every Sunday. And don't forget to subscribe our channel because then you won't be receiving notifications. And until the next episode airs up, just stay safe and take care. Bye bye.